Hey, this is Dan from the Collectify team. Today I want to talk to you about our brand new minting tool, PasscodeEdition. So what is PasscodeEdition? It's pretty simple really. PasscodeEdition uses passcodes to mint and control who can mint rather than an allow list. Quickly looking at one of our minting pages for this tool, you can see, as per usual, I'm going to connect a wallet. You're going to select how many you're going to mint, and then you need to fill in your passcode. How do you get your passcode? Well, that's up to you, the creator, to disseminate amongst your audience, your fans. But why do you want to use this? Well, there are a few reasons really. One good reason is that the passcode edition allows you to avoid back and forth of a whitelist or an allow list. The person submits the allow list. You then manage the allow list. What it does is it creates a limited window where people can sign up. In some cases, for example, merchandising, you want to be running a long-term minting process rather than a short-term drop. PasscodeEdition synergizes particularly well with e-commerce and retail, where you can provide an NFT as a reward or an on-chain marker for someone who's bought your physical products. That's the example I'm going to go over today. But actually pushing this further, you could use this even to create essentially a pseudo fiat RAM. People buy your code from your e-commerce front, they come on-chain and they can redeem it. This actually has an unintended benefit of allowing people to participate who may be regionally blocked from a rapid fiat ramping. For example, MoonPay, a very popular pay with debit card service, is not available in many countries. I know this because I live in one of those countries. You can be participating in the expansion of our industry, which I think is pretty exciting. So let's make one. I go to my wallet, make sure I'm all set up on the right chain. I'm using the testnet right now, and we're going to add new. First up, we've got to make the contract. The token standard we currently have available is the ERC721. Just going to fill in this information as per usual. Remember, when it comes to metadata, you'll need to prepare it ahead of time. We have other videos covering how you do this. Copy the metadata, drop it in here. After metadata, it's the max supply. This is the max token supply for your NFT. Typically an open edition is more time-based than anything, but you do have to put in a number here just for the contract's sake. If you plan to run a public mint, this is where you'll put it. The passcodes will determine how many each wallet can mint. I'll show you that in a moment when we get to it. For now, I have no intention of running a public mint with this, so this is going to just be set to 0. You can now establish royalties. Royalties for resale. If you want to add this, you can. And if the NFT is traded on a royalty enforcing platform, which you can control, again, I'll show you that later, you'll receive a cut. This is totally optional. Could be 0, could be 5, could be 10. Bear in mind, if you set it much higher, that will limit people's willingness to trade it and might skew people's perceptions of the product. Do a little research on this, engage the temperature, and know your audience. It's vital for any drop. Here we're going to choose what token you buy it with. The default option will be the default token of the chain. In this case, it's Ethereum, or it could be any token on the chain as well. For ease, I'm going to just keep it at ETH because the mint is going to be free because it's a reward. Obviously, my time zone for the mint is important. Establish a free mint price. I choose a mint date. I'm keeping it open-ended because I don't want the mint to ever end, and I simply leave this blank so it will never start a public mint. We just hit next, we're going to create the contract. And with that complete, we're going to go fill out the collection information. First up, you need a little logo. Here's one I prepared earlier. The introduction, this would be the copy that appears on your minting page. Again, prepared earlier. The official link of your store. For example, if your tying is in with an e-commerce thing, you probably want these things to both point to each other so people can easily find what they're looking for. You can then as well, if you're planning on some kind of retail capacity, point it to that. These things can be altered at any time, as opposed to everything on the first page, which cannot be edited after the fact, okay? You want to connect all your socials and confirming in the wallet to create the contract and just wait for the transaction to complete. With the transaction completed, we can go to the dashboard and take a look at our new NFT drop. So as you can see, all the fundamental information of the project. Now, right here is where you can block certain marketplaces from trading your token and interacting with your contract in order to preserve royalties. For example, Blur, very famously, does not enforce royalties at all. If you are planning on making an NFT, which you hope that people may trade down the line in order for you to gain some kind of royalty benefits, you can do this and ensure that if people are trading your NFTs, you're going to be receiving the royalty down the line. Again, you want to take into consideration who your audience is, how sensitive they might be to these things, including the royalty amount, and if limiting the marketplaces limits the potential liquidity for trading. In the example I've done of creating some t-shirt merch, it really doesn't matter. I don't intend people to trade and buy and swap these things. Here's the mint date. If you want to add on a public mint, you very well can, and you can even add an end date to the mint too. Quickly save. Remember, saving this is interacting with the contract, and it will cost some gas. Successfully done. We'll just quickly check the general information. Now we get to the passcode part, which is pretty important. Hit add passcode, and here you can generate all the passcodes. You choose how many you want to generate at one time. You can add more at any time. I'm going to just add in 10,000. Each person can redeem the passcode for one. Now, you could do this the other way around, where you just use the one same password and people can redeem it as many times as possible. This brings us to another potential use case here, where you might want to use this to launch a PO app. For example, if you have an event, whether that's IRL or even say Twitter Spaces or some kind of other digital event, you can provide people with this passcode. And as long as they've heard the passcode or read the passcode, they can take a photo, jot it down, or come straight to the website and mint it. This can potentially synergize well with the time-limited thing, so people can only mint within a certain window using the passcode, and therefore you can better enforce who gets the claim. You see how this is starting to look like a very flexible and powerful tool? My example, I'm going to just drop back. And here are my passcodes. Okay, a couple of things. Firstly, the local information does not match the on-chain contract. If you get this warning, you just have to hit this and synchronize everything to the contract. Whenever you do this, you'll have to pay a gas fee because it's interactive with the contract. So just keep that in mind. If you make changes and you want to make sure that everything is up to date, you can just hit refresh. It will flag this up if you have to synchronize again. Down here you can see our passcodes, hundreds of pages of passcodes. Each one allows you to mint one. If you want to specifically give away one passcode to one person in particular and allow them to mint multiple for whatever reason, you can actually manually change how many people can mint from each one. So if I wanted to keep that in play, I would simply synchronize it to the contract and it would be updated. I can make sure to give this specific code to someone who wants the two. Or if you decide you want to burn some codes so that they can't be used for any kind of reason, we give you the flexibility to simply delete. So I will just delete this passcode. Now no one can use it to mint any. It will take a moment to refresh in the background. You're not done until you've synchronized it to the contract. Here it is. Sync the contract, sign the transaction, and just have to wait for the confirmation. But we don't have to sit on this page to do that. It's just doing the work on chain. Now, the rest of this is, as we've seen on everything else really, you just change your theme and your color to bring it all in line with the rest of your branding. And you just do that. And we're going to go to the minting page. Before we do that, I'm going to just copy this code. All right, here we go. My wallet's connected. Mint one. Drop in my passcode, prove that I'm not a robot, and mint. With the mint submit, I'm just going to put that to update on the chain. And then we're going to go just have a quick look and make sure it's all gone through. And here we are, just using OpenSea to quickly see it because it updates very quickly. Here's the JPEG. It's a redeemable token, which you can later use in conjunction with our other tools. If you want to look at how those other tools work in depth, you can check out the other Mastering Collectify videos. One very easy example to focus on is holder. If we create a holder for this collection, which I'm going to do right now, remember the contract address needs to come from the NFT that you're looking to work with. Matching image is always good. And now I have a holder system. I can import data from people who are holding the token. This might take a moment to synchronize. Often I find it takes about 20 minutes, sometimes less. What this is now doing in the background is it is scanning this contract for which wallets have interacted with that contract and who is currently holding the token in their wallets. This is powerful because for part of that use case for a PO app or even for some kind of e-commerce interaction, you can use this to identify who's been taking part. If it's an e-commerce extension, you might find that there are wallets that are holding the first one you ever did. You might even want to collate this information with the biggest holders of your product, and you may want to reward them with something else that's on-chain, or even off-chain depending on what other data you have. If it's a PO app, the same thing applies. If someone has collected the 5 PO apps you release from the 5 different events that you've done to find your hardcore super fans, this is a way to do that. Okay, so you see, as we always come back to holder, a lot of things synergize with really well. And that's going to do it. That's PasscodeEditions. We think it's a really exciting tool. This one actually came from user outreach. Someone was trying to do something on our platform. They got in touch to ask if they could do it, and we listened and built around that. We love hearing back from our users. If you have a similar experience, please don't hesitate to get in touch through email, Discord, or on X. And we hope you have fun with PasscodeEditions. All right, we'll see you in the next one.